What is going down, sourdough squad? It is the Monday after Christmas, and we've got some 49ers football to talk about. We're going to be talking about is Brock Purdy, should he be rookie of the year? We're going to talk about all that. We got some news in regards to potential head coaching updates. Oh, we got some stuff to talk about. But you already know the vibes. Smash that like button, drop a SDS in the chat. Let's rock. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What are the vibes today? It's still technically Victory Monday. I know the game was on Saturday, so we had a Victory Victory Sunday celebration, but we continue to roll that on into the new week. It is Victory Monday. So, very excited we had a lot of stuff going on this weekend. But first of all, happy holidays to all you guys. Merry Christmas. Hope you guys got some dope Niners gear over here. From Santa or from whoever. Let me know. Drop it in the chat. Did you guys get any dope Niners gear for this holiday season? I don't know where it is. I don't think it's in here. I got like a sourdough Sam plush pillow thing. Looks just like me. It's kind of creepy, but it's comfy and it looks like me. So that's cool. Oh, that's dope. Chili says he got a dog and he named it Bosa. That's sick. Shout out to the Noti gang. Jason says he's got a knit salute to service 49ers beanie. Love it. Got a Bosa jersey that gets here tomorrow. Love it. What else did we get? Purdy jerseys are sold out. Yeah, good luck. Good luck with that. Rory says, I got a 49ers hat from Santa last year. Niner ornament and fuzzy Niner Crocs. Ooh. That would be nice. 49er Viking says, Niner W was my gift. SDS gang, love it. We got Niners pajamas. Got a 6 splatter painting of Debo, Bosa, and Warner. That's dope. Oh, you love to see it. Got a nice Niner knit beanie. We got a Lance jersey. We've got a framed Trey Lance photo and rookie card. Let's go. We got a Greenlaw jersey. Ooh, Greenlaw gold jersey. Oh, we got that residency hat. Let's go. Shout out residency gang. Got some 49er shirt. You see it. So Niner gang's fitted. We're ready to go for this stretch run. You can see we got a lot of gear out here, and it should be. The gear should be flying off the shelf because the San Francisco 49ers are on an 8-game win streak. Whoo! Woo! Feels good to say. 8-game win streak? I'll take it. I like it a lot. That's fantastic. The San Francisco 49ers continue to go to work. And again, with the third-string quarterback, and we're going to be talking about that third-string quarterback because, as we know, he's balling out. So we got to figure out, is it time to start discussing about him as potential offensive rookie of the year? But we're not going to get into that just yet. So far, no real news to come out of anywhere. I mean, as you know, I know you guys heard about it. Nathaniel Hackett was fired today from the Denver Broncos position. You know what I mean? So he is no longer with the Broncos, which makes that the first head coaching vacancy available. And guess who is already being discussed and considered for that job? Now, we understood going into this year that this was likely going to be the last year with D'Amico Ryans on the staff. D'Amico Ryans has been a fantastic addition. Coming over with Kyle Shanahan, started out as the linebackers coach, and then he became the defensive coordinator. In just his second year, D'Amico Ryans has been phenomenal. This defense is number one ranked in a ton of major statistical categories, and we know how it goes. This defense is playing lights out, and I do even think there's opportunity for the defense to get even better and tighten up a little bit more. But I do imagine D'Amico Ryans will be a head coach next year. We'll see where it is. Josina Anderson is reporting that some initial names to be discussed for the Broncos head coach vacancy are guys like Dan Quinn, Daryl Bevel, Eric Bieniemy, Sean Payton, who's probably going to be the king of the crop for this year's cycle, but D'Amico Ryans as well, and Shane Steichen. So there's some good candidates out there, and there's going to be some jobs open. I think there's already the Panthers job, as you guys know, and I believe there's one more out there. So D'Amico Ryans definitely has a good chance to become a head coach this season. So we cherish D'Amico with as much time as we can get with him. Because as we know, D'Amico Ryans has been a phenomenal head coach. Just look at the linebackers that he's helped develop, being a linebacker coach and then transitioning into the defensive coordinator. You look at Fred Warner, Azeez Al-Shaair, Dre Greenlaw. None of those guys are first-round picks. Fred is a third-round pick. Dre Greenlaw is a fifth-round pick. And Azeez Al-Shaair is undrafted free agent, along with other guys like Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who's one of the top special teamers this year. I think George Odom is leading all special teamers with 14 tackles. And the next leading special team tackler has 10, and that's Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. So D'Amico Ryans is a fantastic coach, and he's deserving. When we had Javon Kinlaw on the show, I'd asked him about D'Amico Ryans, and he was talking about how D'Amico is just phenomenal. He gets it. He understands it. Former linebacker. No, like, he played the game. He knows how to push the buttons when it counts. Javon Kinlaw had nothing but good things to say about D'Amico Ryans, and they understand what it is. D'Amico's probably going to be a head coach this year, so we'll continue to follow that situation and see what comes of it, and all that good stuff. Did you guys see that? We talk about it all the time. Did that come out just now? Hold on one second. Oh boy. So let's see. We've got, of course, all the injuries come out when we are on live. So we already knew Jimmy Garoppolo had gotten his cast off. Jay Glazer had reported that on Saturday. There are no additional injuries to come from the game. So that was per Matt Mayoko. So we're gonna get a little multitasking going on. So bear with me as we get this rolling. But there are going to be a bunch of updates that come out, and we will try to work and discuss through them all. There's a chance that Deebo Samuel will practice later this week. So that's good news. All kinds of good stuff coming out. All right, let's get some of these updates out. So again, no additional injuries to occur from that Seattle game. Kyle Shanahan confirmed Jimmy Garoppolo got his cast off, and we found out that Deebo Samuel will likely practice this week. So we got that coming out. Let's see what other stuff. So I got to get some posts out while we are on live. of course, my favorite thing. All right, let's go. Hopefully, we'll get these out quickly, and then we could continue talking 49ers ball. All right. So we're going to get the Debo Samuel post out. All right. 49ers. Debo Samuel could return to practice this week, according to Kyle Shanahan. I guess I'll just hate HT Matt Mayoko because I've seen it from 40 million other reporters, and we'll just call it that. So that's good news. Get that out here, and let me get that out here. Paste, 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 paste. All right. So I see Big Papa always talking about this. Hey, Brad, can you explain? I'm assuming you're saying why posts take precedent over YouTube. Just a question, want to understand. I believe you're just talking about the posts. Just so you know, Big Papa, I operate a Facebook page, an Instagram page, a YouTube, a Twitter, TikTok, and I now just today started my own personal Instagram. So I have two Instagram accounts. And if you follow me, one of the functions of my account are updates. So if I am live and updates start popping off, guess what? I got to post about it, or else I'm not doing my job. So if we are live and we get news, one of the benefits is we get to talk about it in real time. Like right now, we're hearing this is from Matt Mayoko. Coach Kyle Shanahan said earlier the earliest 49ers could open the practice window for running back Elijah Mitchell would be Friday. He is making very good progress, and it appears as if he will definitely be available for the postseason. So that is good news. And so it's not a one takes precedent over the other. It's more so I have to do multiple things at one singular time. So I appreciate your patience in kind of allowing me to do those things. I can understand if it doesn't necessarily translate into the best content in the world, but we have a job to do, and that job is to try to keep the 49er faithful as informed on the San Francisco 49ers as much as possible. So that requires me to multitask like a son of a gun. So that's what we're doing right now. We are multitasking like a madman while I'm trying to speak so this thing doesn't be completely trash, but I also have to type and read at the same time. So it comes with the territory, and I appreciate your patience as we continue to get the updates out. So now I'm going to make my next update. And this one's regarding 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell. Could have his practice window opened this Friday from IR and is expected to be available for the playoffs. So that is good news per Kyle. Shanahan. And we're going to HT. This came from Mayoko. So we're going to HT Mayoko. And you get to see the sausage making process. 49ers Elijah Mitchell could have his practice window opened this Friday from IR and is expected to be available for the playoffs post. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there, I promise you. We'll be able to actually provide some analysis than you guys watching me live post things. I promise. But again, we appreciate your patience and support of the channel. So we're getting good news right now. Again, if I could time our lives with the 49ers press conferences, I would, but I don't have schedules, so I can't do that. So we get caught in weird spots sometimes. But hey, we don't complain because why would we? Why would we complain? It's just par for the course. All right. So I got one eye on Twitter. I'm keeping my eye on these updates that are coming out. And just to recap again, Deebo Samuel could practice this week. No additional injuries from the Commanders game. And it looks like Elijah Mitchell could have his practice window open on Friday. Again, doesn't mean it's going to happen. It could happen. And it does sound like they're angling for Elijah Mitchell to return for the playoffs. So, I mean, that's absolutely huge. We did get a little update on Jordan Mason, who, again, we saw a lot of TDP last week. I don't think Jordan Mason ran the ball against the Commanders. We saw TDP. According to David Lombardi, Shanahan said that Jordan Mason is doing great with his hamstring tightness. So that's good. Let's see. And I think it's also important to note that the 49ers only have one available slot for IR return. And it does look like it's going to go to Elijah Mitchell. So I know a lot of people have talked about maybe discussed talking about the return of Trey Lance. Doesn't appear that's going to happen. They're going to likely give that to Elijah Mitchell so that he can be available for the playoffs. Kyle Shanahan apparently. So it was a bit of a surprise decision that the 49ers had deactivated Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson has been up all year, and he's played pretty well whenever he's gone in. But Shanahan essentially was saying that Drake Jackson was inactive because they were more focused on run defense because of the run-heavy nature of Washington's scheme, which makes sense. So that's a good thing. Trying to see what other updates we're going to get. Brock Purdy is healthy. His oblique and his ribs are improving. So Kyle Shanahan's kind of sidestepping potentially so it does sound like Jimmy Garoppolo is coming back soon. Like it does again. Jay Glazer reported this on Saturday that he's going to be out of his cast and he's going to be out of his walking boot in about 2 weeks. So in about 2 weeks, they're going to reevaluate where Jimmy Garoppolo is, and as we know, in 2 weeks, we're talking about that kind of off period between the end of the season and the playoffs. I think there's a week break that they take, I believe, and then they start the wild card round. It does sound like that the timetable for Jimmy Garoppolo return will be kind of right there at the beginning of the playoffs. So it's going to be very fascinating to see what the San Francisco 49ers do moving forward at the quarterback position. As we've mentioned, the last IR return designation is likely going to go to Elijah Mitchell, which is going to effectively rule out any potential return of Trey Lance. And I know the San Francisco 49ers have been saying this from the start since he was originally injured. And as it's continued to go on and the questions pertain, both Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have not indicated that Trey Lance will return this year. And if Elijah Mitchell comes back, that will be your indication that Trey Lance will be done for the year, which again is something that we've known and they've said over and over again. But the question does pop up quite a bit. But it does appear that Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't gone on to injured reserve because there's a chance that Jimmy Garoppolo will return. So that's really good news. Also, defensive lineman Kerry Hyder Jr., who was out last week with an ankle, should be back at practice this week, according to Lindsey Polaris, 49ers team reporter. So these are all great things. Overall, as we stand as 49er fans, this is good news. This is a good injury report. No additional injuries to come from the game. The path forward for Elijah Mitchell, path forward for Deebo Samuel, path forward for Jimmy Garoppolo. So the 49ers are getting healthy at the right time. So that's good news for us. So the 49ers have 2 matchups to end the year with teams that have no chance at the playoffs. The Raiders are just absolutely embarrassing, and the Cardinals are so injured and equally as embarrassing that neither teams really pose a shot for the playoffs. So it's going to be very interesting over these next 2 weeks to see how this team manages it. If I've listened to Kyle Shanahan talk about load management or taking plays off or anything like that, my gut is that he's going to play his starters against the Raiders. We'll see how far how far that goes. I also do imagine that the 49ers will start their guys against the Cardinals. I just don't know how long they will play because Kyle Shanahan brought up a great point about how, if you guys remember, Mike Shanahan, who was the head coach, of course, his dad, the head coach of the Denver Broncos, Kyle Shanahan said that this was arguably the best team that Mike Shanahan ever had, but they were a first-round knockout out of the playoffs by the Jacksonville Jaguars. The next 2 years were the 2 years where the Broncos won back-to-back Super Bowls. When talking about why that Broncos team got beat by the Jags, is that he said that they started resting players 3 weeks ahead. And by the time it was ready for the actual playoff game against the Jags, he said everyone was rusty. Everyone was just out of it. So listening to that story where clearly Kyle Shanahan is pulling from real life experience from his dad resting players and seeing the negative side of that, I would imagine that we're going to see these guys. We'll see how long they play into the game. I imagine they're full go against the Raiders. Deebo probably comes back against the Raiders. Nick Bosa is looking to break the franchise record for sacks. I imagine they're a full go against the Raiders. The Cardinals game is going to be very interesting to see who's available, if everyone's available, how long will they play moving forward. So, continuing to look at updates come out from 49ers beat reporters. Let's see, y'all. All right, let me double check to see if we got anything else. Doesn't look like we've got anything else. So, good news from Kyle Shanahan regarding injuries and all those different types of things. The 49ers are able to escape without additional injury, which is very good. And we're just going to keep double checking to make sure we don't miss anything. All right. I think we're good. Are we good on injury updates? I think it was Justin said update on Charvarius Ward. I haven't seen anything on Charvarius after the game or since then. I think Charvarius is fine. So again, he played against the Commanders. So I don't think anything's going on with Charvarius, so that's good. Mason got injured on that Thursday. He had the tight hamstring. He did play on special teams, however, he didn't run the football. So we'll continue to monitor that. But again, it sounds like the 49ers are getting healthy at the running back position. Imagine that. So now, let's fast forward. Imagine a running back room that showcases a group headlined by Christian McCaffrey. Then your number 2 running back is Elijah Mitchell. Then I would imagine your number 3 running back is Jordan Mason. And then you have TDP rounding it out. That's a pretty damn good running back room for the 49ers. And not to skip over the legend Juice himself. So this might be the healthiest, knock on wood, and the deepest that the 49ers running back room has been heading into the stretch run since Kyle's taken over. But I mean, we just got to continue to pray for health, continue to sacrifice whatever we sacrifice. I know we have a faithful Sourdough Squad member that makes a sacrifice to a volcano. And I think we're undefeated since that's occurred. So we need to keep all the good jujus as much as possible and continue to get these dubs and get into the playoffs. So far, good news for us moving forward. All right. I think we're clear, though. I think we're clear. We made it. We made it through the onslaught of news updates while being live. That's congratulations, everyone. Congratulations. Thank you for bearing with me as we worked through the updates live, got our posts out, and all that good stuff. We appreciate you as always. And we can kind of get to the larger conversation at hand. Let's talk about Brock Purdy here, because I mean, we're gonna have plenty to talk about, but the question that is being posed, or that I'm posing, and we've talked about this a couple weeks ago when he first started popping off, is Brock Purdy going to have an opportunity to be not the offensive rookie of the year, but the rookie of the year? Do you think that is a possibility? Let me know what you think in the chat. I want to see what you guys think. Obviously, there's other rookies to compare against. Sauce Gardner plays on the defensive side of the football, has been a pretty damn good, uh, had a really good first year. Um, there's guys like Kenneth Walker, Seattle Seahawks running back, has had a really good year, and performing pretty decently well. But Kenneth Walker's kind of tapered off here a little bit down the stretch run. Typically, rookie of the year, if there's a quarterback involved, it's probably going to go to the quarterback more often than not. But I don't know. Will they get it? We'll see. Um, you got Malik Willis. You got Kenny Pickett. Like Justin is pointing out, I don't think Malik Willis is going to be pushing for that at all. But I really do think that Brock is making the case. 100%. And that's just wild. It's wild that we are this far in and we can have this conversation and actually lean towards yeah, maybe he could get it. Because Brock Purdy is undefeated right now at this point. Since he has stepped in week 13. And at that time, week 13, Dolphins were a playoff time. At that time, Tampa Bay Bucks, playoff team. At the time, he played the Seattle Seahawks, playoff team. And at the time, the Washington Commanders were considered a playoff team. They're in the hunt. They're fighting for it. So these are all teams that, have you seen that stat that the teams that play the San Francisco 49ers, they're 0-12 after playing the 49ers. I know Kyle Shanahan spoke about this stat, and I think it's a stat that they really appreciate. The fact that when the 49ers play a team, I don't think they have won the following week. The Dolphins have lost 4 games in a row. 0-13. Thank you. And it's pretty remarkable. Tampa Bay lost, the Seahawks lost, and we're going to see what the Commanders do after this. So the 49ers are imposing their will in many different ways. They're leaving a wake behind them that is so huge that these teams are starting to get beat by Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, and they're collapsing because they can't handle it. They can't function after getting dismantled by Brock Purdy. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers came out and beat the Commanders 37-20. And if the San Francisco 49ers are going to score 37 points a game, hell, 30 points a game, how are you going to beat this team? Just like Johnny's talking about, you got the defensive player of the year out here snatching souls, and you got Brock Purdy out here cooking like he should have been a top 15 pick. I don't know, man. I look at it like this. It's a small sample size, of course. It's 3 starts. One of them came on the road and got thrown into the fire against the Dolphins. So, but he got a really good he got a lot of playing time against the Dolphins. Outside, I think it was one drive. I think it was the first drive that Jimmy went down. So Brock has gotten a lot of plays. He has done a lot. He already has almost 1,000 yards on the season. He has 912 passing yards. He has 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. One of the interceptions was an arm punt. So when you look at how he's beating them and you pop on over to watch some Patriots football and you watch some Mac Jones, good old Mayo Mac over there in Patriots land, and you watch how he's playing. That guy was, the 15th overall pick. At one point, per every expert media pundit, he should have been the 3rd overall pick. But you look at Mac Jones right now, coming from Alabama, being a first round draft pick, beating out Cam Newton as a rookie. Yeah, their coaching is extremely suspect. We will give Mac Jones that. The coaching right now is Matt Patricia. Don't know about him. But Mac Jones isn't elevating the people around him. He isn't taking what he has. I mean, he's yelling at people on the sideline. Brock Purdy would never. Brock Purdy's like that guy that's like, he's been there before. He's done it. And like, it was one of the first things that we said about Brock Purdy watching the tape against the Dolphins is like, the moment did not seem too big. He absolutely looked like he belonged and that the moment was not too big for him. So the way the way Brock Purdy has continued to play, if they get a win and he plays a full game against the Raiders, they dismantle the Raiders. Brock Purdy is yet again efficient at being able to dial it up, get the ball into his playmakers' hands, and they get another W. And whatever they decide to do for the Cardinals game, I think it's going to be hard not to give it to him because of what he has done, even though it's a short sample size. No other rookie quarterbacks are playing like him right now. And Brock Purdy is outplaying guys right now like Tua. He's outplaying guys like Mac Jones. He's outplaying some of, the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. And this is a rookie. 3rd string quarterback elevated to be the starter because of injury, and he is playing better than probably half the quarterbacks in the league right now. Playing better than Derek Carr. So that, to me, puts value into the conversation. Like, not only is he performing well for a rookie, he's performing well just quarterback standards. Like, I don't think it's crazy to say that Brock Purdy is the best quarterback that the San Francisco 49ers have had this year under center. And you guys remember when I posed the question, and shout out to Jordan Elliott for the one getting me to think about it originally, because I didn't even think about it. But Jordan Elliott tweeted like, geez, like week 10, something like that, about Jimmy Garoppolo. Is Jimmy Garoppolo a top 10 quarterback? We had that discussion, and we're like, you know what? You go down the list, Stafford not playing well, Kyler Murray not playing well. You start going down the list of these quarterbacks. Matt Ryan cooked. Geno Smith been playing well. Daniel Jones been playing well. Burrow playing well. Jared Goff playing well. Deshaun Watson has not been really playing that well. Jacoby Brissett, while he was doing a good job, but not truly elevating. Trevor Lawrence is just now taking those steps forward. So we were like, if you weren't ready to say Jimmy Garoppolo was a top 10 quarterback, you were saying, okay, he's like top 12. Like he's around, he's scratching at the door. Well, in my opinion, I think we have enough sample size, in my opinion, to make this statement and feel confident about it. Since Brock Purdy has taken over for the San Francisco 49ers, I believe Brock Purdy has outperformed Jimmy Garoppolo. So again, if we at one point this year talked about Jimmy Garoppolo, if he wasn't a top 10 quarterback, he was knocking at the door of being a top 10 quarterback. What does that make Brock Purdy if I believe Brock Purdy has outperformed him? So when you're starting to talk about rookie of the year, if a rookie, no matter where they were selected, is potentially performing in that top 12 category, I think that's where you start having the discussion that maybe this guy is rookie of the year. Maybe. We'll see. It's not my vote. I'm also a biased San Francisco 49er fan, so you already know where I'm leaning. But if you really start to kind of dive into it, and I truly believe, after watching all the tape, watching it live, watching the energy, watching the vibe, watching the execution, watching the cerebral ability, watching his mobility, watching all the abilities, Brock Purdy, I think, is playing better than Jimmy Garoppolo. And we were talking about Jimmy Garoppolo as like, is this the best we've ever seen Jimmy Garoppolo play? Not counting the 2017 season. So if Brock Purdy is even in the conversation for being a top 15 quarterback as a rookie at this stage, where he didn't get a preseason to really get those reps. Yes, he played in the preseason. He beat out Nate Sudfeld. That was a huge task in of itself. The 49ers opted to keep 3 quarterbacks when you typically keep 2. But he's running scout team all the way until week 13. And you're looking at a Kyle Shanahan offense effectively operating at one of its peak efficiency levels that we've seen since Kyle Shanahan has taken over. Who do you start giving the credit to? Is it Kyle? Or is it the guy running the show in the huddle? So again, just like we talked about against the Dolphins, don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I recognize that I can get excited about things and I can get ahead of myself sometimes. I just don't feel like I'm getting ahead of myself here. I feel like Brock Purdy has proven that he's more than capable of, one, being a starter in this league, but he's starting to prove that, is he going to be the starter next year? Well, what is he going to do in the playoffs? We'll find out. There's still a long road to go. But through 4 weeks, I've been insanely impressed with what Brock Purdy has done. 234 passing yards against Washington, 2 touchdowns with a 68.2 completion percentage. Not too bad. Not too bad indeed. So I believe, yes, I did. I posed this question on YouTube, and I would say this is probably pretty accurate. I think YouTube does a good job of kind of pushing out my polls to more than just 49er fans. So it's not totally biased. It's a little biased. But so far, these are the initial outcomes of the question that we are kind of talking about here. And the question is just, should 49ers Brock Purdy be considered the NFL Rookie of the Year? And 56% said yes, 13% said no, and the other 31% said hasn't played enough. That's 23,000 votes. It's a pretty good sample size. And again, like I said, YouTube does a really good job of pushing these polls out to further past just 49er fans. So this poll isn't just 23,000 49er fans voting on it. It pushes it out to pretty much anyone who ingests NFL content. So 56% say yes. Now, still 2 weeks left. Still got some games to play. But I do think it's trending in the right direction. And Brock Purdy has been fantastic. Not only has Brock Purdy been fantastic, but the reemergence of George Kittle has been fantastic. It's been one of the things that just makes me smile. You guys know that we are a pro Kittle page. We're pro Kittle content. Um, Kittle is our guy. He's been my guy, draft crush since Iowa. That's my guy. He's like a son to me, even though he's not. But that's just how I treat him. He's more than just a 49er player. He's like, I love Kittle. I loved Kittle before I even knew who Kittle was. I just love Kittle. This is my guy. And then we saw his maturation process once he was drafted with the San Francisco 49ers. And we talked about this before. We take, PFF grades with a grain of salt, and we always will. And I'm going to do a better job of try to continue to say that. I like that we can stack and quantify things with PFF, but they're not the end all be all. But still, they have their own way of grading things. They track it. They do. Okay, that's fine. In their system, George Kittle has been the highest graded player amongst all NFL players past 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. And we're like seeing this reemergence of George Kittle with Brock Purdy. And it's because I do believe that Brock Purdy has the stones to be able to get Kittle the ball when Kittle needs the ball. And that's not a shot at anyone else. It's just speaking more to Brock Purdy. He has an ability to distribute the football and put the ball where it needs to be. And that's why we're seeing Kittle get more opportunities, because when the opportunity calls for Kittle to get it, Brock Purdy gets it there. We don't always see that. So I love this. Joshua says Kittle getting that Madden boost. They docked this guy like -3 overall earlier in the year. Do you guys remember that? I got heated. I believe, Madden grades, whatever. Madden overall rankings, whatever. Subjective. But I always said how is this dude not a 99? He's one of the best blockers in the NFL, not just at the tight end position in the NFL. And then what he can do after the catch and all that type of stuff. How is he not a 99? They docked him this year. Like 3 points in his overall ranking. And I'm happy to see it. Not only am I happy to see it, but did you guys see what he said about the touchdown that he stole from Ray Ray and openly admitted to stealing it from Ray Ray? Um you know, I find this to be fascinating. Here's the touchdown that he stole from Ray Ray. Hey, you stole my touchdown. You dog. You stole it. I love what Kittle said about it. I love Kittle's honesty. I love that Kittle talked about the coaching point going into this week, that Kittle was supposed to run across formation. And if he were to run across formation, even with even with the middle of the field open, that's taking him out of a potential touchdown, out of the play, out of it, whatever, right? Kittle said, I don't care. He knew where the ball was going to go. He knew where the open part of the field was, and he went to a zone where he wasn't supposed to be and went and literally stole a touchdown. I love this. I love this. Like this is like some character arc type stuff. Kittle has been team first more so than probably any player that you could possibly ask for at the NFL level. Considering Kyle Shanahan effectively turned him into one of the best right tackles in the NFL when he is a guy that has superior run after the catch ability, right? And we kept saying, like, where's Kittle? Where's Kittle? Where's Kittle? Kittle is now saying, I'm just gonna go get the ball. I don't care. You're not gonna create opportunities for me. I'm gonna make my own opportunities. And I love it. I love it. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's fantastic. And I love the energy kind of switch that Kittle has because I have my thoughts. All right. I don't want to speculate too much on it. Um, but we're seeing Kittle. I think we're seeing like Thanos Kittle. Like we've seen WWE Kittle. We've seen Mr. Happy Go Lucky Kittle. Like we've seen that guy, right? And we love that guy. And he's one of the reasons why he's a fan favorite. And he's one of the reasons why everyone freaking loves Kittle. We're seeing a little Thanos Kittle. Like what Kittle did he admitted to stealing that touchdown away from Ray Ray. He explained how he stole that touchdown from Ray Ray and basically said, I don't really care. I like it. Like, listen, there's some there. Mike Silver put out an article today. I read it, not surprised by what I read. Not even close to being surprised. So we'll continue to see what goes down. Scott, I'm gonna get to your super chat. Just want to let you know that because you got it in here a while ago. I see it. I'm trying to fit it in after my Kittle talk, but we'll get to it right after the Kittle talk. We're bumping double up because super chat is about Kittle, and he says, "I think Kittle is emerging himself." Well said. And yes, Purdy is a part of it a little, but seems like Kyle knows his contract coming up, and he's reducing his plays. Again, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to. I'm gonna the tinfoil hat's right here. I could grab it and I could put it on, and we could do a whole tinfoil rant about what's going on here. I'm not going to. Not going to. But Kittle is probably one of the more, like, what's the word? Emotionally intelligent football players you will ever come across. Like when it comes to being in tune with mind, body, spirit, um, he has the whole alter ego thing. Like he understands it up here. And this character arc that I think we're seeing, like we know the Kittle, big old teddy bear, all that good stuff. I'm kind of liking it. I'm kind of like a little heel turn. Like not in a bad way for the 49ers, but like go crazy, bro. Like if they're not gonna give you the ops, take the ops. And that's exactly what he did. And I'm for it. You get me angry Kittle. You get me pissed off Kittle. I think we could see some legendary stuff. Uh, and I love that he's out there taking touchdowns. So I'm all for it. George Kittle, 4 touchdowns last 2 weeks. George Kittle absolutely solidifying himself to the fantasy community. We know the fantasy community can be one of the most ruthless football communities out there. And the fact that he's doing it in the playoffs, I think, might sound stupid, might sound like, oh, well, do they? Who cares about that? I've watched the narrative around George Kittle go from the guy that everyone loves to trade George Kittle. Like it's gone all over the place. It's gone all over the place. So this is going to get people outside of the fan base on Kittle's side. Um, so I like what Kittle's doing out here. I like what he's doing. Um, all right, we're gonna get to the other super chats. Uh, Double says, I say that because he did the same with Debo at one point last year, and Debo was like, okay, you put me in at RB, fine, I'll do it great. I'll do that great too, then, Kyle. Listen, Kittle's going to do what needs to be done. He's not going to complain, and he's going to do what he needs to do. But I do think that we're seeing a little bit new version of Kyle in a sense, or excuse me, of Kittle in a sense, and I like it. I'm here for it. Let's get to Scott. Scott's been waiting for a while. Appreciate you holding out, Scott. He says, "Hey, Brad, right now, who would you say can beat the Niners?" Kinlaw was great this week. Yeah, from what I saw from Kinlaw, he looked pretty good. I haven't seen anything that would. I haven't watched the tape yet, but I would imagine Kinlaw had a decent game. I didn't see him pop up in a negative way. I think Javon had a big part in that goal line stop, but I'll reserve the rest of my opinions until I watch it back. But yeah, I agree. I think Kinlaw was pretty good. Right now, who would I say could beat the 49ers? I think there's really only a select few teams. I think it really comes down to three other teams, and I think it's going to be the three or four teams that are ultimately fighting for it in the end. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, you saw that they were still able to put 34 points up against Dallas without Jalen Hurts. I still think the Philadelphia Eagles are good. If you guys remember back to week 2 last year, the 49ers beat the Eagles, but it was a good matchup. It was a pretty good matchup. That we match up very well against each other, offensively, defensively. So the Eagles are going to be a team that are going to have us on high alert. And of course, the two other teams that are going to have the 49ers on high alert are going to be the Bills and the Chiefs. Those are really the only three teams that I look at. I think the Cowboys are right outside of it. I think the Cowboys have potential to be good, but they're kind of like the Vikings to me. They both have the potential to beat any team. It's just you don't know which version you're going to get, and that could always play into the San Francisco 49ers hands. So it really comes down to the teams that obviously scare me the most are going to be the Bills, Kansas City, and the Eagles. Outside of that, I would probably have the Vikings and the Cowboys, just because they can play well in moments. You just have to hope that those moments don't come against the San Francisco 49ers. And it's going to be kind of interesting to watch play out. The Green Bay Packers are trying to make a push for the playoffs. So it's going to be very interesting to see how far the Pack go. And if they become a playoff team, maybe the 49ers play the Packers at one point. Again, we're going to see how it goes. Not too concerned about the Packers, just we know how it goes. Hot teams get hot at the end. They typically are the most dangerous teams. I mean, look at the New York Giants. Go back to that 2011 season. The NFC, what was it? The NFC Championship game against the New York Giants. I'm sorry to bring it up and really trigger your PTSD, but the football gods were not on our side that day. Oh my God, could you imagine if we went to the Super Bowl in 2011 and Jim Harbaugh's first year? Oh my God, that would be fantastic. Um, Doesn't Parsons give you Ja Morant vibes? Annoying. Um, uh, maybe a little. He's active on Twitter. Ja, I didn't mind until the playoffs last year. Then Ja was like a. I'm a Warriors fan, so he was beefing with the Warriors big time last year. So he's a little annoying last year. But I see I see where you're correlating it though. Um, Ego says, "Love Jimmy. Brock has the offense looking so fluent." He does. He has the offense looking like we've wanted it to look for some time. Um, I think it's looking like I think, when we discuss Kyle moving off of Jimmy Garoppolo and why he would want to do that, I think there are some limitations that Jimmy brought to where that fluidity just right. It's very rare and it wasn't a consistent thing. We'd get some consistent play out of Jimmy, but from like a week to week standpoint, it just kind of you never knew what you're going to get. And I think with Brock Purdy, he just has this consistency to him where like the things that Jimmy, I think, had a hard time with, in regards to kind of processing and seeing the field, I think it's one of Brock's best attributes. And I think that's where we're seeing some of the kind of the back and forth is that Jimmy, like we knew he would throw one of those oh no throws to an underneath linebacker probably once a game. And it was just because I think he was dead set on like, all right, this is how I see it pre-snap. This is where I'm going post-snap, and would get himself in trouble sometimes. Where I think Brock Purdy really excels the most is one seeing it pre-snap, and as it develops post-snap, he's able to process it as well and be able to move off of certain different things. And as a result, I think we're seeing kind of the success that comes from a guy who can see it pre and post and process it in real time. Whether there's a free rusher in his face, it doesn't matter. He's going to process it, and he's more often than not going to put the ball where it's supposed to go based on what the defense is dictating, not where it's dictated pre snap. And I think that's the biggest thing is Jimmy would kind of predetermine his throws pre-snap and would ride it out even if the defense changed post-snap. Brock sees it pre-snap and adjusts post-snap and gets the ball where it's supposed to be. And that's why we're looking at this defense right now or this offense and we're like, "Oh, what is going on? Like, what we haven't seen an offense like this under Kyle Shanahan since and it's just that's what happens when you got an elite processor back there. You got a guy who can see it. You got a guy who can read it. And the game looks slow for him as a processor. Um like he's got one of those big brains on him. Big brain Brock out here playing really well. What do we got? 49er dude says Kittle is the same guy. Difference is the quarterback. Uh yeah, there's a big difference with the quarterback. I don't think Kittle's I think Kittle's evolving. I do. As someone who, like I said, I scouted Kittle heavy coming out of Iowa, draft crush, and of course has been a favorite of mine since being on the 49ers. I think we're seeing an evolution here. I do, and I'm for it. I think it's a good evolution. Again, the evolution is George Kittle, that happy-go-lucky WWE type personality. All right, take it a step further. Let's see what heel Kittle looks like. Let's see what the bad guy Kittle looks like. Let's see what it looks like. I'm for it. Like, I'm absolutely for it. Like, I know who Kittle is. I know what he stands for. I believe in what he stands for, and I believe he goes about it the right way. But I also believe he's been the ultimate teammate. He's sacrificed his body for this team. He sacrificed stats for this team. He sacrificed a lot. And I see a guy who wants his. And I'm like, yeah. Like, we all know how it goes. That nice guy, right? The nice guys finish last, right? You hear that all the time. Nice guys finish last. Not this Kittle. I don't think we're seeing nice guy Kittle. I think we're seeing like Thanos Kittle. Dude's trying to snap these defenses into oblivion, and I'm 100% for it. And hey, if there's something going on with him and Kyle, that's between them. I don't have any real thoughts on that, but if we get Kittle having a little heel turn, I think that bodes well for the 49ers. I'll just say that. You angry Kittle? You got like you guys remember Kittle smiling ear to ear walking in for a touchdown against the Seattle Seahawks. We love that Kittle. We get angry Kittle? We get Kittle with a something to prove? Sign me up. Sign me up, baby. I got the Kittle jersey here. We got the Kittle shirt on. Go ham, my boy. No prisoners this year. Let Kittle knows what it is. I don't think he believes that he'll be able to play forever like this. So I think he's taking advantage of his prime years. And he understands the clock is ticking. And the opportunities that he's going to have to go deep into the playoffs, to make Super Bowl runs, those are going to be diminishing here in the next couple years just because, we understand what it is. Mother Nature is undefeated. The only one who's kind of been able to defeat her has been Tom Brady. But Mother Nature's catching up to Tom Brady finally. But we also understand George plays a much more physical brand of football and is definitely much more physical than 100%. Kittle, honorary SDS chairman. I love that. He would sit at the head of the table. Love Kittle. Remember, we don't talk about trade Kittle here. Trade Kittle talk, you get insta blocked out of this community. Them's the rules. Oh, father time probably makes more sense. There you go. Mother Nature. Mother Nature's more of like a natural disaster. Father time was what we were looking for. Thank you for the clarifications on that one. You got me there. Thank you for that. It's father time, not Mother Nature. Nah, that's funny. Oh, we got someone testing the theory. I think he's already been blocked. I don't think. Oh no, there we go. Block. Appreciate you, never KJ. Apparently, he wanted to be made an example of, so we did just that. You are blocked now. Them's the rules. Looking like an 80s wrestler right now. Hell yeah. Let's go. You already know the damn vibes. So again, we don't play here. We don't play here. So appreciate you. Whatever his name is. I don't know. Never seen him around here. So maybe he'll show back up on his burner or something like that. But it's all right. But I'm excited. I'm excited to where this season's going, man. I don't know how you can't be. 49ers are on an 8-game win streak. They're on their third quarterback. Brock Purdy is playing. He's the best quarterback that's been under center for the 49ers in 2022. I don't think there's any question about it. The way the offense is operating, the way the teammates are responding, what they're able to do and accomplish with Brock Purdy compared to even Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. It's the Purdy show right now. Oh man, I'm so happy for Jake, man. And you guys know we're big Dan Brunskill guys over here. I'm a big Dan Brunskill guy. So you put Brunskill in a competition with someone I'm ready to roll with Danny. Uh, Brunskill gets a lot of disrespect, and I don't appreciate it. And going into this year, when they had Brunskill rotating at center with Brendel, I was a big Brunskill guy. I'm like, Brunskill should be one of the top 5 guys, no matter what. And that was even with, Spencer Burford. I was like, he's a top 5 guy. He needs to be one of the 5 guys on that O line. Whether it's at center, whether it's at guard, I don't care. Brunskill needs to be able to be on that line because, yes, he's not going to be the most overpowering offensive lineman, but he does his job, and he does his job damn well. Brendel started out good against the Bears, got a little shaky against Seattle, Denver, and from that point on, from week 4 on, Brendel has been great. So I love what Brendel's been doing. I really do appreciate Brendel's game. So, and Brett, you have to understand what Brendel's game is. He's not going to be a guy that's going to overpower you. He's not that's just not his. He's a cerebral first step. He's a faster offensive lineman, and he's able to win that way. He's really good in pass protection for the most part, and he's really improved even in the run game. And I've been pretty excited about it. Brendel's he's been a good surprise this year. It's going to be interesting to see if the 49ers I think he's a free agent this year. Don't quote me on that. So I think it's going to be interesting if they re-sign him or not. Let's see. I saw a question. Where did it go? Jesse Wade says, Brad, is Mike McGlinchey the weak link on the O line? You mentioned having to have Kittle be the right tackle. Are we seeing with Purdy's mobility, it allows us to use Kittle as the real weapon he is rather than having him help block? I was halfway joking on Kittle being a right tackle, but I think it is important to note that when they use Kittle as a blocker, it's not in pass protection. They use Kittle as a run blocker. So when it comes to pass protection, yes, he will stay in at times, but we're talking like a handful of times, like maybe 2 times a game that Kittle will stay into pass block. So I don't think there's a correlation in regards to, uh, you know, the pass blocking being not as stout, so Kittle's pass blocking more. I meant more so in that he's a run blocker. He's one of the best run blocking players in the NFL. Um, so they don't really use him a ton in pass protection. And I know you're not blasting Mike at all. And I'm not taking it that way. I do believe that they don't really use Kittle a whole lot as a pass protecting blocker. They do use him in that regard. But when we're talking about straight up staying in to pass block, it's probably 2, 3 times a game, max. But I don't think that changes regardless who the quarterback is. Could have anyone back there, and I think that's how Kyle's just going to run it. Um, is Mike the weak link in the offensive line? I don't like talking about the weak link. Um, and because it's probably not a popular answer. I know Mike McGlinchey would be the popular answer, and a lot of people believe that to be so. But I would say that this year, I wouldn't call him the weak link because I don't think he's a weak link, but I would say the guy that has struggled the most on the offensive line has been Spencer Burford. I think Spencer Burford had a phenomenal preseason, got me excited, got a lot of us excited. But I think he's still trying to catch up with the speed of the game. He's still trying to execute his technique properly. He's still struggling with that, and he gets caught in bad spots as a result of that. So, if I had to pick someone to say, like, who's having maybe, not that there's a reason him and Brunskill are still rotating. Um, so I would say Burford, but I think the Burford's a rookie, and Burford's going to get better, and Burford's going to continue and improve on the smaller nuances of playing the O line. Whether it's he needs to focus on the technique side of things, using the proper technique. Like if you, for example, there was a sack right against the Commanders. The sack was on Burford for passing off a defensive tackle to a center that wasn't there. Like that's just those are like if I had to talk about Burford in a nutshell this year, I would say that play against the Commanders is Burford. Like he's capable. He's got the size, speed, traits, beautiful traits for an offensive lineman, but him passing off a defensive tackle to no one is kind of like where Burford has struggled this year. Um, but I don't think that's he will improve on that. He will get better at that with more reps, more time. The smaller nuances he will be able to pick up. So I don't think it's the end all be all. So I mean, and I don't think he's a weak link either. I would just say you see it all the time where he's not, run fitting, the right shade or takes a wrong step or does stuff like that. Um, and where Mike has, considering the circumstances of where Mike was at heading into this year, what Mike is dealing with this year, outside the really two terrible penalties that he had. And again, I haven't watched the tape yet. Outside the two terrible penalties, because they were terrible penalties, because I think it knocked them out of scoring touchdowns and made them kick 2 field goals, which not good. You don't need to be uh, a McGlinchey supporter or anything like that to say that. But outside of that, I think he played pretty well. But the penalties, you can't do that. That's something that you can control. So I think he'll be able to get better at that. But I don't think he's been the weakest link, actually, to be honest with you. He's had bad games. He was, if you want to pick individual performances, uh, Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, he was probably the weak link against Kansas City Chiefs. But I also have to give him a bit of a pass considering he hurt his knee just the week before against the Falcons, and he was going against Chris Jones. And guess what? Chris Jones does that to everyone. Um, so I think it's just hard when you're talking about Mike McGlinchey because you're combating a narrative that isn't supported by anything other than negativity. So that's why the Mike McGlinchey conversation is a hard one to have because it's stemming from a negative place and not a whole lot of information. So it's like it's it's just a hard conversation to have. Because people see the bad clips, and yes, they're bad. There's some bad clips. They exist. It's not a figment of our imagination. But unfortunately, you have to judge O line on body of work and not individual plays because Trent Williams will get beat on an individual play. Aaron Banks will get beat on an individual play, and they'll look real silly. But those guys get a pass because their body of work has looked better as of late. So it's just a O-line discourse is really hard to have, especially in this fan base. And I can 100% agree that Mike can't give up those bad plays with penalties and holdings. Like those things are never going to be acceptable. Like it's just not. Doesn't matter who it is. You got to clean that up. You got to fix it. But it's the timing that makes it worse, and it's the narrative that makes it worse, in my opinion. I think Mike, and again, I got to watch the tape, but first glance outside the terrible penalties, if you're looking at the way he blocks and the way that he's been winning, hasn't been bad. But yeah, you know how it goes. But anyways, let's end it there, huh? Hopefully, I got some homework to do still, so we'll play it by ear. But hopefully we can be able to stay on schedule um, with the stuff moving forward. But yeah, I appreciate everyone hopping on. I'm glad I was able to save you from boredom, and we were able to get through our updates and do all that good stuff. And again, so far so good with the injuries and everything in that regard moving forward for the 49ers. Oh, did you guys see Debo and Brock at the Warriors game last night? I don't think they went together, but we did see them there together. They showed up for the photo op. That was pretty cool to see Brock and Debo at the Warriors game. That was dope. Things you love to see. But I appreciate you guys as always. We're gonna have to see if they feel comfortable with Nick Sakel enough to let Brendel walk. That's gonna be the interesting off-season conversation that we are gonna have. Jeremy says, just wanted to tell you how much the shout out that you gave me meant while I was in the hospital. All better now and just at home doing physical therapy to get better. Well, Jeremy, happy for you, man. I'm glad that we could have any type of impact on you in any way. Hopefully you're doing better, man. Glad to hear you're out of the hospital and making a move in the right direction. Shout out to you, my guy. Hopefully things keep moving forward for you in a positive way. As we get out of here, I appreciate all you guys. Grab your cookies on the way out. You already know the vibes. Shout out to SDS. You guys continue to be amazing. We got 1.2 million views on lives this year, which is insane to me. 1.2 million views on lives just on YouTube this year. To see this ginger bearded, whatever you want to call me, that's crazy to me. So thank you to all you guys who continue to show up and support. It really does mean a lot to me. Also, I started my own personal 49ers Instagram page. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, and this is going to be only content that I shoot or produce, like, the SF Niners is kind of an aggregate account. This IG is just going to be stuff that I shoot only from me, and all that good stuff. Shoot me a follow over here if you want to keep vibing with this ginger beard. And again, I appreciate all you guys. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your night. And as always, the SDS is undefeated. Let's go. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.